Hi, everyone. It was good to see you in class. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. And because you have this relatively long law review article written by Leonard Riskin, who, as I've shared, is a master in the area of mindfulness and law, and in particular negotiation and mediation, negotiation being a centerpiece of this law review article, I wanted to give you a little bit of a sort of something to anticipate and what to be thinking about as you read and review this article, so you don't just plow through it to get through it, but rather have it be a really useful and meaningful part of the learning experience. I've been teaching this particular article in a class where we'll explore mindfulness and negotiation for I think about 10 years. Each time I read it, each time I get more out of it. And so it's also one of those pieces that you'll just, you could read forever and keep getting more out of it. So make the most of this week as you're looking at it for the first time. As we talked about in class, Getting to Yes was a very early and important book on negotiation and really beginning to say what's going on underneath the hood when we're negotiating with each other. And one of the big takeaways from that book is to move from positions or position-based bargaining to interest-based bargaining, to get to have a deeper sense of what's going on and what the other person's or your counterparty's needs or interests are, as that opens up many, many avenues, much like we talked about in class with the orange example, which is instructive and sort of, I think, illuminating. This book came out in like oh my gosh, I don't know when it came out. Let's say 81. I'm not really sure. This book came out in 2005, written by Roger Fisher, one of the primary authors of Getting to Yes, and Daniel Shapiro, a present-day sort of negotiation master and expert. And in this book, they sort of take Getting to Yes and go a couple steps further, fleshing certain things out, using emotions as you negotiate. And they look at, and you'll read this, so please, as you do, soak this in, but here's a little bit of a preview. They talk about 5 core concerns that we all have. There's all these emotions that we can experience, and they can get riled up, especially the unpleasant emotions, the agitated emotions, when things don't go exactly the way we'd like them to. The snow globe, the spiral, the things that we've been talking about. And rather than try to keep track of all these possible emotions, they broke them into 5 categories, which really represent many of the kinds of emotions that we can experience that can derail an otherwise fruitful negotiation. And so their book talks about how you can use emotions to negotiate by keeping an eye out for these 5 core concerns that we all have, some of them more than other, and when we notice that they're being compromised, to do things to bump them up, to make this practical. For example, one of our core concerns is to feel appreciated. So if during a negotiation or based on what's being negotiated, one party's not feeling appreciated, you'll probably notice them getting agitated. And if you're looking for that as a sort of to diagnose what's going on, you can then as a lens go, they don't feel appreciated. And then as a lever, you can do something in terms of what's thrown into the negotiation or talked about to help them feel more appreciated and bring them back into a more fruitful environment to be able to negotiate and get somewhere, seeing possibilities and being creative and not closing down. That's the gist of their book. Leonard Riskin read it, also works with Dan Shapiro, so he was very much interested in it, and he said, yes, but you know what? You could have the best technique in the world. But when you begin to get agitated, that technique will fly out the window. You might know the saying, no good plan survives the enemy. You've got this plan, this technique. There's many, many techniques. There's techniques for everything, just about. But what happens when you, as the negotiator, begin to experience your own dysregulation in being able to effectuate and execute on that technique? That becomes challenging too. So what Leonard Riskin does very effectively is he says, so let's bring mindfulness more explicitly into the process. That as a negotiator, if you are experienced and you practice mindfulness and you understand it, you can actually use it in a way that's very supportive for allowing the core concerns approach to negotiation to really flourish and come to life. And in that, he writes about what mindfulness is because the reader of his article may not know anything about mindfulness. So I think that you'll find from both the way he talks about it and introduces mindfulness to the naive reader, to the way he then integrates it into the core concerns approach to negotiation, will be very helpful to you, both to better understand mindfulness, understand its ways of it integrating into an area of the law or in a practice like negotiation, and also how you write about and communicate to a reader about this somewhat elusive and not so easy to grasp concept and practice of mindfulness. I hope that's helpful to you. I hope that allows the reading of this long article to be especially rewarding for you. Looking forward to seeing you in class on Friday.